My name is Greg Losh. I'm with the Michigan Department of Transportation, and we are putting on a public meeting today to convey information regarding a project that we are going to deliver next year on Grand River from Park Lake Road east to Oak Pointe. And we're really excited about the opportunity to bring this investment to the area. We've extensively coordinated with a lot of our partners in the area, from the Ingham County Drain Commission, Road Department, as well as Meridian Township. And we have representatives from each of those agencies here today as well. Our plan is to go through a project-specific presentation. It's about 30 slides. And when we're done, we'll all be available. I have a team of experts here from MDOT as well to help answer questions about specifics or schedule or time frame. And we can go over any sort of questions that we have. I would ask that we hold off on questions until the end of the presentation, just because there is a lot of information in there. And I think a lot of questions will be answered as we go through the slides. But if there's something that we didn't cover or something you would like more information about, please let us know and we can definitely address that. As well as please make sure you sign in up here this afternoon so that we can make sure we keep track of the groups of individuals and areas that we talk to, so we make sure that we're presenting as much information as we can and we get an idea who we're talking to. And also there's forms up here to sign in with questions. So if you don't feel comfortable speaking out and asking a question during the presentation or afterwards, there's a form up here you can fill out. You can either give it to us later, email it to us, or we can, it might be a reminder through the presentation for you to refer back to, and then we can cover that information at the end of the presentation. So lots of options to get questions answered, information for us to get gathered on our end as well as present to you. So with that, I'm going to turn the presentation over to Alex Craigmile, and he's going to start with the details of the overall project. And again, we will be here. We have 2 time frames today, from noon to 2. We'll be back from 4 to 6. And our goal is to give a presentation on the project and then hold kind of an open house style public meeting where people can come up and look. We have plans, we have roll plots, we have lots of information for us to share. So there's lots of opportunity to get questions answered. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Alex Craigmile, project manager on the project.
And thanks everybody for making it in today. And Greg kind of led into the first slide here talking about the Title VI and civil rights requirements. So if you could please sign in on your way in or out so we can get an accurate indication of attendance. We're also trying to monitor so that we can make sure that we contact all the groups that are involved in the area. And as we all are aware, with COVID and everything that's been happening, we're doing kind of in person now, but we're also trying to do virtual to hit all the target audiences that we can to kind of get the information out there. So M-43 corridor project has been in the design process for MDOT here for several years now. Originally, it was a mill and resurface. We've since added some extra work to it we'll talk about in a little bit. It's an urban 5-lane road. It gets down to a 3-lane road on the eastern end. We have about 16,000 to 25,000 vehicles per day through that stretch. And in the 3.2 mile length, we're doing about half a mile of full reconstruction to help alleviate some of the flooding issues. The estimated cost of this overall project is about $12 million, and roadwork construction is going to begin next year and go into 2023. So talking about the improvements, we're doing a multiple course mill and resurface that was set up several years ago. As we started looking at the areas and working with and reaching out to the community, we identified that there were some areas that needed extra addressing beyond just a resurface, and that was due to flooding. Areas that we've had concerns with that were brought up to us. So those 2 stretches that we're kind of concentrating the reconstruction on are about 1,200 feet from M-43 at the Nacoma Drive area, and then the Ocamus Road intersection itself. And that's about 1,000 feet, so 500 feet either side. Both of those areas will raise M-43 above the 10-year floodplain. It's currently below that, as I'm sure many of you are aware from the frequent flooding that we run into. Drainage improvements are going to be added in there as well for the reconstruction area to help minimize the flooding events in the future and help with drainage as we do get surface water. The project will also include ADA ramp upgrades throughout the corridor, and after reaching out and talking with the township, we've identified 3 locations for pedestrian islands to help crossing of M-43. And those will be included as well. Traffic signals, there's going to be miscellaneous improvements through the corridor along with a full modernization at Ocamus. And then we will also be doing new pavement markings with the pavement being replaced. As part of this, it's a long stretch of project, and we've been in communication with the Drain Commissioner's Office, the Road Department, and the Township. We're, through that communication, we've been identifying other things that can be taken as part of this project to minimize future projects, and that includes upgrading and relocating water main through the stretch, about 1,100 feet of it, just short of that. And also working with the Drain Commissioner's Office to upgrade the Ocamus drain and the Gettenberger drain within the limits of MDOT's project itself. And that'll also allow the Drain Commissioner in the future to tie onto that outside of the limits of MDOT's right away. So I've got some pictures in here from last year that Jack Rick actually took as a area resident of some of the flooding in these areas that I'm sure you guys have all seen before firsthand. Now, the flooding has, caused lane issues. That existing sidewalk has settled over the years. We've done several patching jobs to try and help, but it just kind of keeps falling into poor shape. With that, we've had to close lanes through that stretch for days. As part of the flooding issue, it's not just the roadway. So this is at the Nacoma Bridge or the Red Cedar, one of the high-level points during that event specifically, and also the golf course, right? So part of this problem, and it's specific to this location, is the general area of the watershed coming down to the river. So with that, the MDOT area that we're talking about that contributes to this kind of watershed group is about 24 acres. The overall area that's coming down to this point is about 200,000 acres. So it's a lot of water, a lot of impact. So when we were identifying what we could do to help mitigate that and make a fix, we were looking at cost effective, but also where the impacts lie. So with our project, we'll be raising it about 2 feet, which kicks us out of the 10-year floodplain, or 10-year storm event. So we will still have the occasional flooding issue that we have to resolve. But the issue is the further up you raise it, the further back it goes, and the more you push water into the neighboring parcels. And it just became a point of we couldn't go any further without having too great a cost and too negative an impact on the area around it. So this will help with the 10-year events, but it won't totally fix the issue, right? So there will be still flooding in the future. So I'm going to turn this over to Jack Rick, who's going to talk about the staging and the MOT scheme and a little bit more of the project information.
Thank you, Alex. My name is Jack Rick. I'm a resident for Ocamus and Meridian Township, so I appreciate coming here to talk to all of my fellow residents a little bit about our project. I've been with MDOT, just for your information, over 32 years. And my teammate over there, Warren, he's my assistant, and our group of professionals, we've all been working really hard to come up with some good solutions. We've been partnering with the Drain Commission, Carlos here, and Angie and Jonas from your engineering staff here at the township, and we feel we really have an improvement. Is it going to solve everything? We know it's not, as far as the flooding. But when you have high water conditions on the river, it's really hard to push water into the water that's super high. But we're going to do every effort we can to improve the situation that Alex mentioned. So how are we going to build this? So the first stage, from the beginning to the end, we're going to pull the outside lane, very similar if anyone was around when we did the project to the east. And we start with sidewalk ramp upgrades. So right from Park Lake all the way over to Oak Pointe, we're going to be putting in new sidewalk ramps, except for in those reconstruct areas. Those will wait until we actually perform the reconstructs. We'll also be doing some temporary work at those reconstruct areas so that we maintain driveways to some of the businesses. Second stage, we actually begin part of our mill and resurface from west of Marsh to Cornell. And I think that's what we got there, right? Yep. So we still have the outside lanes closed, but we're beginning our mill and resurface operation. So we've got the sidewalk ramps done, and now their contractor is going to mill and resurface those asphalt over the concrete ramps. When we're past Cornell, it's really too tight, so we're going to have a little bit of what we call flag control, where one lane at a time is allowed to go through and the contractor does their operation to the end of Oak Pointe, where they finish the mill and resurface. So all the mill and resurface is done on the outside, and then we move to the middle 3 lanes, and we get that taken care of. That's our next stage. Then between Cornell and Oak Pointe towards the east, we have to once again do the north or the south half of the road while traffic's maintained with flag control on the north half. And then we move to our major reconstruct stage, which that encompasses both the Ocamus location and the Nacoma location. We'll maintain one lane in each direction on the south side of the road. And while that's happening, the contractor will have the north half of the road. We'll separate traffic from our contractor in this area because of the amount of work and all the things that need to happen with the temporary concrete barrier. So similar to what you see on freeways when we separate traffic from a reconstruct area, we're using a similar technique there to keep it safe both for the motorists and for those folks that we work with on a daily basis, those people that are either constructing the road or that are inspecting the road, some of our staff and the team members we have out there. We have a kind of a mini sub-stage where we can't get to the center left turn lane while we're maintaining 2 lanes of traffic on the south side. So once we have 2 lanes done on the north side of the road and they're built up a little bit higher, then we'll split traffic in stage 5, where 1 lane of traffic is going to be on westbound and 1 lane is going to be on eastbound, but split by that temp barrier in the new pavement and the old pavement. And the contractor will then take care of the center left turn lane in the reconstruct area. Then, when that's done, then we move the barrier 1 more time, get it up on the brand new concrete pavement. We maintain 2 lanes of traffic on the north half of the road while the contractor will have the south half of the road. Now we anticipate all that work, I'm going to go back 1 slide, really to take through most of the 2022 construction season. Because it's a lot of work, a lot of underground work, the water main that we mentioned, all of it takes time, takes testing time, takes time to collaborate with all the other outside agencies to do proper inspections. But at the end of 2022, all of our reconstruct areas would be complete. And then the following year, we'll have another mill and resurface basically from the beginning of the job through our reconstruct areas. We're going to gap those reconstructs because they're already going to be completed. And it'll follow the prior year's staging. So we'll first do the outside lanes, do a mill and resurface. Then we'll do the inside lanes, very simplistically. And this has worked well previously to the west. It does take time though. So a lot of effort, a lot of collaboration. So I'm going to talk a little bit about our construction detours. And one of the big ones, and everybody's aware of our road project that's already ongoing, not really but our county's road project. They've already begun utility relocation work on Ocamus Road in advance of the bridge reconstruction. So just speaking a little bit about that project, I'm not sure exactly when the bridge contractor is going to be there, but everything you see out there is a private utility company so far doing work in advance of the county's bridge contractor. So they'll be out there probably in winter or early spring, starting the bridge removal once all those utilities have been completed. But it takes time to get out of the way. So what is their plan? Their plan is to maintain northbound Ocamus Road. And when we begin our work and we do detour on Ocamus Road, they will tie into our detour, or they may have an advanced detour for southbound that uses Central Park Drive over to Dobie directly down to Jolly. And they're always going to maintain the northbound Ocamus movement. So we're collaborating together, making sure it all meshes together overall from a scheme. Now, one thing to mention, we are well aware of potential flooding issues. And our secondary detour, should Ocamus Road be closed coming southbound, will be over to Marsh. So as traffic's coming south from like Saginaw, directly south, Park Lake over to Marsh, and come down into this detour here. In addition to our localized signing, we're going to do some what we call global signing, way outside of the limits of our project. So you can kind of see here, US 127 to the north. We have digital message boards, both to the north, to the south, and to the east. All those we're going to start putting messages out in advance of the construction. We'll put up some static signs advising motorists that, yay, there's work going on between Park Lake and Cornell. And we'll put digital message boards as well along the corridor, right along Grand River. We got to get that message out. And it takes time for everybody to acclimate. What we typically find, it usually takes a couple weeks till the traffic pattern reestablishes itself. And it's not perfect, but our traffic team and our operations team, they go and work with both our township officials and the road commission, and they'll review the timing of signals, adjust timing accordingly to get traffic moved through as best we can. Another highlight that was brought to our attention by the township that we've incorporated into our project are pedestrian islands. So one of the issues that I see out here is we do have a lot of pedestrians, and sometimes they cross in undesirable locations or what kind of feels a little bit unsafe. The first one I notice is right after the railroad tracks. You come down, and over here at Campus Hill Drive, we've got that big apartment complex there. So it's directly at a bus stop. We're going to put a pedestrian island. If you drive downtown East Lansing, just west of Hagedorn, we put in a pedestrian island there as a safety area that the pedestrian can go from sidewalk to the middle, to the center left turn lane, feel safe. It's not 100% safe, and nothing is, but, and easily get across the street in a protected curbed island. So we'll be installing 3 of those. I've got one here shown at Campus Hill, a second one right in front of Myers, where the other bus stop is to the east, of kind of like right by McDonald's. Everybody know where that is? And a third one just east of Washington Heights by the bank. So a nice set of pedestrian movements will be added. These will be added towards this one will be added early, but the other two, because of all the reconstruct effort, we'll add those at the end of the project. So a little bit about the limits of the Nacoma Reconstruct. Starts a little bit east of Mohawk Road and covers Nacoma, and then a little bit to the east of the first driveway to that shopping mall there. So, and the second location of our reconstruct is pretty much centered right on Ocamus Road. Everybody knows, or if you live here, you know, when we do have the flooding on the streets, it does occur at these two locations. Why does it occur at these two locations? They're roughly the same elevation. There are low points along Grand River. They're too low right now. We're going to do something about that to address that situation. Another item that we work closely with the Drain Commission on, they have agreed to us eliminating, we've got a siphon that goes underneath Ocamus Road as part of our storm system, and we're going to upgrade a portion of the Ocamus drain and tap a portion of our drainage into that. That'll alleviate some of the pressure downstream, but it also will improve the drainage overall in the area. We're going to add brand new drainage system with quality control structures in there. It's a really nice element that we're adding here. Our final thing I wanted to mention is kind of an important part of what we're doing. Anytime you put fill into the floodplain, you have to do an offsetting cut somewhere. So we have fill that's going within the 100-year floodplain to raise the grade of the road. And Jonas and I and a couple other folks, we went out and looked all over the township. Where is a reasonable location where we can do this to improve our drainage and to offset the cut, offset the fill that we're doing? And we found a location that the township has agreed to. It's a kind of township-owned parcel adjacent to the Ocamus drain, south of Central Park Drive, kind of directly south of the fire station. So it's in that land area. So we're very thankful, the department is, for the collaboration we've had with the township and all the efforts that are being made by both the township and the Drain Commission on trying to improve our situation out here. Craig or Alex mentioned this before, but we'll have future outreach meetings. We're going to repeat this presentation at 4 o'clock, and then we're also going to have a website for the project. So with that, we're going to go over to questions and answers. Greg, you want to come back up?
So, as you can hear, there was a lot of coordination, a lot of different aspects of the project to put the whole set of plans together. We've been working on this for a long time, and each individual agency had to iron out a lot of their own details before we could actually incorporate them together. So that's why one of the reasons why we've been working on this project for so long before we've been able to come out to the public, and that is because we didn't have a set of plans with everything put in one spot where we could answer the questions we knew we would get. So now that we have that information, we are here to take input, answer questions, and continue to move the process forward. And we're looking at a January letting, which for us means we're putting this out for bid in January of 2022 is the plan right now. And we, as Jack covered, we plan on starting as early as we can in the spring and wrapping up the major work by the end of '22, and then coming back and doing some of the tie-in work and some of that top course asphalt paving in the spring of, in early summer of '23. So with that, that's pretty much everything that we had to cover in this presentation. We can take questions, and we also have, a lot of resources here to point out specifics if somebody has specific questions about like how's this going to impact your driveway or whatever you may have.